My girlfriend laughed with friends. I'll dump her after she proposes. It'll be brutal. I waited calmly. 2 days later, she screamed into my intercom, begging forgiveness, but I'd left. Her betrayal freed me. I didn't cry. I acted. Now she's alone, and I'm moving on. My revenge is her emptiness, and I'm stronger. Look, I never thought I'd be the type to post one of these crazy relationship stories, but here we are. And honestly, I need to get this off my chest because what just went down has me feeling like I'm living in some twisted soap opera. So picture this. I'm chilling at home last Thursday night, just scrolling through Netflix trying to find something decent to watch, when I get this text from my buddy Jake. Now Jake's been my ride or die since college, the kind of dude who'd help you move a couch at 2 a.m. without asking questions, you know what I mean? Anyway, he hits me up saying we need to talk and it's urgent. I'm thinking maybe his Jeep broke down again, or he needs help with some DIY disaster at his place, so I tell him to swing by. Dude shows up looking like he just saw a ghost, clutching a Miller Lite like his life depends on it. He sits down on my couch, takes this deep breath, and goes, "Listen, I gotta tell you something about Sarah, and you're not gonna like it." My heart just drops, you know? Sarah's been my girlfriend for 2 years now. We met at this local dive bar during trivia night. She was killing it with the pop culture questions while I was useless at everything except sports stats. She had this laugh that could light up the whole room, wore these vintage band tees that somehow looked perfect on her, and had this way of making even the most boring Tuesday feel like an adventure. We'd been talking about moving in together, maybe getting a dog, all that domestic stuff that makes you feel like you're finally adulting properly. I'd even been thinking about proposing, had my eye on this ring at the jewelry store downtown. Nothing too fancy, but something that screamed, her if you know what I mean. Jake takes another swig of his beer and starts explaining. Apparently, he was at this house party the night before, some mutual friend's birthday bash that I couldn't make because I was working late. Sarah was there with her crew, and they were all hanging out on the back deck, doing that thing girls do where they huddle up and gossip about everything under the sun. Now, here's where it gets messed up. Jake was inside grabbing another drink when he heard Sarah's voice drifting through the sliding door. She was laughing, like really cracking up, and he caught her saying something that made him freeze in his tracks. "I swear to God, she's gonna propose soon," Sarah was saying to her friends. "She's been dropping all these obvious hints talking about our future and stuff. It's actually pretty pathetic how predictable she is." Jake said he moved closer to the door because he couldn't believe what he was hearing. Sarah kept going, her voice getting more animated like she was telling the punchline to some sick joke. "Here's the best part though. I'm gonna let her do it. Let her get all nervous and romantic, maybe even get down on one knee like they do in the movies. Then I'm gonna say yes, act all surprised and happy, take some cute photos for Instagram, the whole 9 yards. Her friends were eating it up, asking what the plan was, and Sarah just laughed again. "I'll stay engaged for like a month, maybe 2 if I'm feeling generous. Then I'm gonna dump her so hard she won't know what hit her." Can you imagine? Going from engaged to single just like that? It'll be absolutely brutal, but honestly, she's been getting on my nerves lately anyway. Jake said the whole group started laughing like it was the funniest thing they'd ever heard. One of her friends even suggested she should film the breakup for TikTok, which made them all crack up even more. Like my heart getting shattered would be prime entertainment content. I'm sitting there listening to Jake tell me this, and I swear I felt something inside me just shut off. Not like I was gonna cry or throw things or anything dramatic like that. More like someone flipped a switch, and all the love I had for Sarah just disappeared. Replaced by this cold, calculating calm that honestly surprised me. Jake's going on about how sorry he is, how he couldn't just let me walk into that trap, and I'm nodding along while my brain starts working overtime. Because here's the thing. I had been planning to propose. This weekend, actually. Had the whole thing mapped out, down to taking her to that little Italian place where we had our first real date. But now I had information. And information, as they say, is power. I told Jake thanks for having my back, cracked open a couple more beers, and we spent the rest of the night just shooting the breeze about anything except Sarah. But inside, I was already 3 steps ahead, planning out exactly how this was gonna go down. Update. Holy cow, you guys are invested in this story. Just want to say thanks for all the support. Reading your comments is keeping me sane right now. Some of you are asking if I confronted her right away, but nah, I played it way smarter than that. The question everyone seems to want answered. Did I actually go through with the fake proposal plan? Friday morning rolls around and I'm acting completely normal. Made Sarah her usual coffee, 2 sugars, splash of vanilla creamer, kissed her goodbye when she left for work, even texted her some cute meme I found about couples who laugh together. She had no clue I knew about her little scheme. That afternoon, I called in sick to work, told my boss I had food poisoning, which wasn't totally a lie because thinking about what Sarah planned to do was making me pretty nauseous. Instead of lying, around feeling sorry for myself though, I got busy. First stop was the bank, cleaned out our joint savings account, every penny I'd contributed over the past year for our future together. Sarah always made more money than me at her marketing job, so she'd been the one putting in the bigger chunks, but I'd been steadily adding my share from my construction gig. Turned out to be about $3,000 that was rightfully mine. Next, I hit up my landlord. My lease was month to month, so I gave him notice that I'd be out by the end of the week. Dude was cool about it, said he'd had someone else interested in the place anyway. Then I called my cousin Danny, who lives about 2 hours north. He'd been trying to get me to move up there for months, said there was tons of construction work and way lower cost of living. Perfect timing. Saturday morning, the day I was supposed to propose, I started moving my stuff out bright and early. Sarah was at her yoga class, same as every weekend, so I had a solid 2-hour window. Amazing how fast you can pack up your life when you're motivated, you know? I wasn't petty about it. Didn't take anything that was clearly hers, didn't mess with her stuff. Just grabbed my clothes, my PlayStation, my tools, and the few pieces of furniture I'd brought when we moved in together. Left her coffee maker, though, because I'm not a complete monster. The ring? Yeah. I returned that sucker and got every penny back. Sales guy at the jewelry store looked confused when I told him I'd changed my mind, but whatever. His commission wasn't my problem anymore. By the time Sarah got back from yoga, I was loading the last box into my buddy Marcus's pickup truck. She pulled into the driveway in her Honda Civic, still in her workout clothes, and I could see the confusion on her face through the windshield. She hopped out, all casual and smiley, probably thinking I was just moving some stuff around or helping a friend. Hey babe, what you doing? Spring cleaning? I looked at her, this person I'd shared 2 years of my life with, who I'd trusted with my heart and my future, and felt absolutely nothing. It was weirdly liberating. Moving out, I said, simple as that. We're done. Her face went through about 5 different expressions in 2 seconds. What? What are you talking about? Is this some kind of joke? I handed her a folded piece of paper. I'd written everything down because I knew if I tried to wing it, I might lose my cool or forget something important. The note basically laid out everything Jake had told me, word for word what she'd said at the party, and how I wasn't about to stick around to be her entertainment. Sarah's hands were literally shaking as she read it. All the color drained from her face, and she looked up at me with these wide, panicked eyes. I can explain, she started, but I was already walking toward Marcus's truck. Nothing to explain, I called back. You said what you said. I heard what I heard. We're good. She started following me, her voice getting higher and more desperate. It wasn't serious. We were just joking around. You know how girls talk when they're drinking. But here's the thing about jokes. They're only funny if everyone's laughing. And I sure wasn't laughing. I hopped in the passenger seat, and Marcus fired up the engine. As we pulled out of the driveway, I could see Sarah in the side mirror, just standing there in her yoga pants and tank top, holding that piece of paper like it might explode. Update. Okay, the response to this is absolutely wild. Some of you are messaging me asking for updates like this is a Netflix series or something. For those asking if she tried to contact me after I left, oh boy, did she ever. But here's what happened next, and honestly, it gets even crazier. The first few hours after I left, my phone was blowing up. Text after text from Sarah, starting with the angry, how dare you messages, then moving to the bargaining phase, and finally landing on full-blown panic mode. This is insane, one text read. You're throwing away 2 years over something I said when I was drunk? I never meant any of it, said another. You know I love you. Then came the voice messages, Sarah crying, explaining how it was all just talk, how she never would have actually gone through with it. How her friends had been pressuring her to break up with me anyway because they thought I wasn't good enough for her, and she was just going along with their stupid suggestions to get them off her back. That last part honestly made me feel even better about my decision. If your friends think your partner isn't good enough and you're out there agreeing with them instead of defending your relationship, then what are we even doing here, you know? I didn't respond to any of it. Just let my phone buzz while Danny and I sat on his back porch, sharing a cooler of Coors and watching the sunset over the mountains. The peace and quiet was exactly what I needed. Sunday came and went without a word from me. Monday, the texts were getting more frantic. Tuesday, she started calling my work, but I'd already given my 2 weeks notice there too, so they just told her I wasn't available. By Wednesday, Sarah had apparently figured out I wasn't coming back, because that's when she showed up at my old apartment building. Problem was, I wasn't there anymore, and the new tenant, some college kid named Tyler, had already moved in. According to Tyler, who texted me about it later because he'd gotten my number from the landlord, Sarah stood outside the building for like an hour, pressing the buzzer for my old unit over and over. When Tyler finally answered, she demanded to know where I was, like he was supposed to have my forwarding address or something. The kid told her he didn't know anything about the previous tenant, which was true, and Sarah apparently lost it. Started yelling into the intercom about how she needed to talk to me, how it was an emergency, how I was ruining both our lives over a misunderstanding. Tyler said she sounded completely unhinged, and he was about to call building security when she finally gave up and left. Thursday evening, I'm helping Danny fix the deck on his cabin when my phone rings. Unknown number, but I figured it might be about a job, so I answered. Thank God, Sarah's voice came through, shaky and desperate. I've been trying to reach you for days. I almost hung up right there, but something made me curious about what she'd say. How'd you get this number? I called everyone we know until someone gave it to me. Look, we need to talk. This whole thing has gotten way out of hand. Pretty sure we said everything that needed saying, I replied, watching Danny measure a piece of lumber. No, we didn't. Her voice was getting that high-pitched quality it got when she was really stressed. You just ran away like a coward instead of having an adult conversation about this. That made me laugh. Actually laugh out loud. Adult conversation? You mean like the adult conversation you had with your friends about how you were gonna humiliate me? She went quiet for a second, then came back with, I was venting. People say stupid things when they're frustrated. You've never said anything about me that you didn't mean? Not to a group of people planning to laugh at your pain. No. This is ridiculous, she said, and I could hear traffic in the background like she was driving somewhere. I'm coming up there. We're gonna sort this out face to face. I wouldn't if I were you, I said calmly. I've got nothing to say to you, and Danny's got a big dog who doesn't like strangers. That was a lie. Danny's golden retriever loved everyone, but she didn't need to know that. You can't just disappear. Sarah was crying now, full on sobbing into the phone. What about everything we built together? What about our plans? What about them? You were planning to destroy all of it anyway. I just saved us both some time. I hung up after that and blocked the number, but apparently Sarah wasn't done yet. Friday afternoon, Danny and I were grabbing lunch at this little diner in town when his phone started ringing. He looked at the screen, made a face, and showed it to me. Sarah's name was right there on his caller ID. How the heck did she get my number? Danny asked. I shrugged. Same way she got mine, probably. Don't answer it. He let it go to voicemail, but she called back immediately. And again. And again. After the 5th call in 10 minutes, Danny finally picked up, more out of annoyance than anything else. What do you want? He said, not bothering with pleasantries. I couldn't hear her side of the conversation, but Danny's responses told the whole story. No, I'm not going to tell you where she is. Because she doesn't want to talk to you, that's why. Lady, I don't know what you did, but my cousin is happier than I've seen her in months. That's not my problem. He hung up and shook his head. She sounds completely out of her mind. Says she's been driving around looking for you, that she's going to keep looking until she finds you. That gave me a little chill, not gonna lie. Sarah had always been intense, but this was next-level behavior. Update. All right, everyone, this is probably gonna be my final update because honestly, I think the story's pretty much wrapped up at this point. But wow, the support from you all has been incredible. Feels like I've got a whole army of internet friends rooting for me. Someone asked if Sarah ever found me, and well, let's just say she tried really, really hard. Saturday morning, I was out back helping Danny replace some rotted boards on his deck when we heard a car crunching up the gravel driveway. Neither of us was expecting anyone, so we both looked up to see a white Honda Civic, Sarah's car, pulling up to the cabin. Well, that's not good, Danny muttered, setting down his hammer. Sarah got out of the car looking like she'd been living in it for days. Her hair was messy, she was wearing the same clothes I'd seen her in before, and her eyes had this wild, desperate look that honestly made me a little nervous. Found you, she said, like she'd just won some twisted game of hide-and-seek. Sarah, you need to leave, I said, staying calm but firm. This is private property. Not until we talk. She started walking toward the deck, but Danny stepped forward. Ma'am, I'm gonna have to ask you to get back in your car, he said in that polite but no-nonsense voice he used when he meant business. You're not welcome here. Sarah ignored him completely, focusing on me like he wasn't even there. 2 years, she said, her voice cracking. 2 years we've been together and you're gonna throw it all away because of something I said when I was drunk? It wasn't just something you said. It was something you planned to do. I never would have gone through with it, she screamed, and I swear birds flew out of the trees around us. It was just stupid talk. I love you. No, you don't, I said, and saying it out loud felt like the truest thing I'd ever said. If you loved me, you wouldn't have been planning to hurt me for entertainment. She started crying then, these big, dramatic sobs that might have worked on me a few weeks ago. But now I just felt sorry for her, the way you feel sorry for someone who's lost something they didn't appreciate until it was gone. Please, she begged, actually getting down on her knees in the gravel. I'll do anything. I'll cut those friends out of my life. I'll move up here with you, whatever you want. I want you to leave, I said simply. I want you to get in your car, drive home, and figure out how to be a better person for whoever comes next. Danny had quietly moved over to his truck and was holding his phone, ready to call the cops if things got any weirder. But Sarah seemed to finally understand that this wasn't some negotiation she could win. She sat there on her knees for another minute, crying and looking up at me like I might change my mind. When I didn't move, didn't speak, didn't give her anything to work with, she finally stood up and brushed the gravel off her jeans. This isn't over, she said, but her voice was flat now, empty. Yeah, it is, I replied. She got back in her car and sat there for a long moment, just staring at the cabin. Then she started the engine and drove away, leaving nothing but dust and the smell of exhaust behind. Danny and I watched until her car disappeared around the bend, then he clapped me on the shoulder. That was either the bravest or the stupidest thing I've ever seen, he said with a grin. Probably both, I admitted. It's been 3 weeks since then, and I haven't heard from Sarah once. No calls, no texts, no surprise visits. Either she finally got the message, or she's moved on to terrorizing some other poor soul. As for me, I'm doing better than I ever thought possible. Got a job with Danny's construction crew, found a little apartment in town that's got character even if it doesn't have much else, and I'm starting to remember what it feels like to wake up without wondering what mood my partner's gonna be in. The crazy part is, I'm actually grateful this whole thing happened. If Jake hadn't overheard that conversation, I might have actually proposed. I might have married someone who saw our relationship as a joke, who was planning to use the most vulnerable moment of my life as entertainment for her friends. Instead, I dodged a bullet the size of a freight train. Sometimes the universe does you a favor and you don't even realize it until later. Sarah thought she was going to get the last laugh, but joke's on her. I'm the one who's free now, and she's the one left dealing with the consequences of her own cruelty. Life's funny that way sometimes. You think you're the victim, but you end up being the winner without even trying. And honestly, I wouldn't change a thing.